there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Jim Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I review books and bookish things. I talk about books and bookish things on Thursdays with some extras thrown in here and there. The book we're talking about today, I had planned to be one of the spooky books of October, but then I read it and it wasn't spooky. It was atmospheric. It had a sense of foreboding and dread going on, like something's going to happen and it's not going to be good, but it wasn't spooky. So I pushed it back, swapped it for another book that I knew would be on the more spooky side, and that book is The Seventh Veil of Salome by Sylvia Moreno-Garcia, the best-selling author of Mexican Gothic. So let's get into it. So this book is one that came out this year, 2024, and I pre-ordered this book knowing absolutely nothing about it but the title and the author. Like, it came up on recommended, and I'm like, ooh, that's one of my favorite authors. I've read a lot of what she's written. She has a new book coming out. Pre-order. Like, I almost pre-ordered it twice, because I pre-ordered it at like 3 in the morning, and then the next day I was looking at Amazon again, and I almost pre-ordered it a second time. But luckily it had the little thing on the top that says you already pre-ordered this book. This is a interesting book in terms of narrative structure. So we have the main story takes place in 1950s Hollywood, super racist 1950s Hollywood, and they're making a movie based on the Seventh Veil called The Seventh Veil of Salome, based on the biblical story of the girl who dances for her uncle and then demands St. John the Baptist's head on a silver platter. In the narrative structure, we follow that storyline through interviews years after the fact of bigwigs in Hollywood who were around and knew the characters. And then we have actual narrative for our two female leads, Vera Larios and Nancy Hartley. And theirs are in a third-person limited style of writing, whereas everybody else's is being told to a reporter. It's first-person limited. And then we also have chapters that are the actual story of the Seventh Veil of Salome. And I'm not sure if it's meant to be a novelization of the screenplay or if it's meant to be what actually happened. It's a little fuzzy there because it can't tell me, because that would be breaking the fourth wall. But I found the narrative structure of this book to be very interesting and very compelling. It invited me to read more and to keep reading. So, something a little different about this book is it doesn't have chapters. That we have a subheading that says Nancy, and then we read from Nancy's point of view for a bit. And then we have Minnie Wells, and this one is a interview, and then we have Nancy again, and then we have Salome, which is, this is the historical, and it goes on and on that way. And this book is fantastic. I'm gonna put the book down because it's heavy and I did some working out earlier and my arms hurt. But it's set in 1950s Hollywood. The main narrative piece is set in the main events are set in 1950s Hollywood during the Sand and Sandals flicks that reigned supreme at the time, like Samson and Delilah or The Ten Commandments, like those movies, those big Anthony and Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, like that, those movies. And the fictional Paradise Pictures is set to produce The Seventh Veil of Salome and casts an unknown from Mexico City as the lead, Vera Larios. And she's more than just perfect. She seems to just embody the role as the screenwriter and director envisioned her. Like, when they read the script, when they wrote the script, she herself was who they envisioned. And I thought, ooh, we might get a reincarnation bent, or we might get something else. And that's not how this book went. And I'm pleasantly surprised that it didn't go the way I thought it would go. It's a culture shock for her, to say the least, and Nancy Hartley is bitter and jealous and violent over being passed over for the role. She was never really in the running for the role. She's a 2-bit player that parties too much, drinks too much, whores too much, and to ever be considered for a serious movie role. But she doesn't know that because she's naive enough and hungry enough for it that she doesn't understand that she's being used. And her story, even the more diabolical aspects of it, just made me sad because she deserved better. She deserved someone to look at her and see that she was special. Everyone deserves someone in their life to look at them and to say and to see that they are special, that there has never been anyone like them in the world before and there never will be again. And she just didn't get that. And she didn't get that kind of a treatment. And it was just sad. Like, not in a I'm gonna cry sad, but in kind of a pathetic kind of a way. Like I said before, the book is leading to something, that there's a sense of foreboding. There's characters mention a trial, and their characters mention the event that transpired, and like you're like, oh no, something's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen, and I was not expecting the ending to be the way it was, and I'm gonna tear up just thinking about the ending because it is heartbreaking. Something I liked about Mexican Gothic was that you got kind of a happily ever after kind of a story. You don't get that here. You get the ending that has to happen. You get the ending not that the character deserved, but the ending that the character had to have. Not that they needed, not that they wanted, but that they had coming to them because of all of the things that unfolded the way they did. The ending left me reeling, just absolutely reeling. This book is 5 of 5 stars. I will read it again, so I will be hanging on to this one, but not for a while. Maybe in a year or so I'll reread it. It's not like a Mexican Gothic or The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, where I want to reread it again as soon as I'm done reading it. It's just heartbreaking. It hurt my heart to read the words. And there's 2 endings. There's the ending in Old Hollywood that made me cry, and then there's Salome's ending. And they mirror each other, but they don't. Like, there's parallels there. But Vera isn't Salome. She's a different character. And the treatment that she received and just everything, when I realized that there's a closer parallel between her and a different character who I'm not going to name because I'll ruin the whole story, just absolutely reeling still. I finished this book a couple days ago and I'm still absolutely reeling from it. Like, I cannot believe that this was committed to print. That not because it's shocking, not because it's like gross or spooky or scary or anything, just because it's so heartbreaking. That being said, I love this book and I will read it again. Like I said, I will read this again, but not for a while. Are there any books that you've been looking forward to, that you've been anticipating, that just were not what you were expecting in any way, shape, or form, and just left an impact on you? I'd love to hear those books. I'd love to track them down and read them if I can. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.